When Alhaitham released, he used to be the best DPS in the game. But now that he's been out in over a year now, is he still good or relevant? As someone who's had him since his rerun in 4.7, I think enough time has passed for me to say if he's still good or relevant or not. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. First off, before anything, I must explain that Alhaitham's kit, it isn't very complicated, but you also have to understand it. And his kit revolves around his mirrors, the leaf-looking thingies, you know? And those mirrors enable two things. One, if Alhaitham has at least one of these mirrors active, he gets a Dendro infusion on his normal attacks. This is his main way of like dealing damage, or like the secondary way, I guess. Second, based on the amount of active mirrors, you get follow-up attacks whenever you normal attack. With the 3 mirror follow-up thing being the strongest one and the one you should build usually your rotation around. You can obtain these mirrors by a few methods. First off, the elemental skill gives you 2 mirrors. Plunge attacking or charge attacking provides 1, and the ultimate provides 3 in most cases, but provides less if it absorbs one of the mirrors. You should always use it at 0 mirrors though. And with that very quick explanation out of the way, let's move on to his actual roles and what he does. Before moving on though, I would like to ask for just 5 seconds of your time to like the video and subscribe to my channel. I'm a really small content creator and I appreciate any support. Thank you. Moving on, because this kit revolves around him being on field and doing lots of damage, he's a main DPS or an on-field Dendro enabler depending on the team. And because of that, he fits into what's basically every Dendro team archetype that could use an on-fielder, such as Spread, Hyperbloom, Virgin, and even Nilobloom teams really. For the purposes of this video, I will only review Spread and Hyperbloom because these are the most optimal and like common teams. I will only give very brief commentary on the other teams. What separates Alhaitham from the other on-fielders is that he actually does damage, while still having a relatively good application. His only weak point is that he doesn't apply Dendro off-field, which is why a lot of people would say that Nahida is better in most teams, and I agree with that take. But Alhaitham, in my opinion, is still a really good character, and you wouldn't like regret using him on that role. Moving on to his teams, his most common picks are Spread and Hyperbloom. I've played both teams in various Abyss before, but before I continue, I will give my promised quick commentary on Bloom and Virgin. For both of these teams, he definitely works, and he is great at that. But the issue is that Nahida is just a lot better because of the higher need of Dendro app and it being off-field. That is really good. And also you need double Dendro for Alhaitham to properly work. I will discuss that in the conclusions. And so, usually you're not gonna wanna use Alhaitham unless you try to squeeze in double Dendro and then that like fucks up the team, blah blah blah. Moving on to Spread, it's arguably his best team nowadays in my opinion, at least at high investment. The team core usually consists of 2 Dendros and a single off-field Electro and then a flex slot, either for a 3rd Dendro, 2nd Electro, or some other flex unit, which is usually Zhongli. I don't think there's anyone else. Maybe a Hydro to do like quick bloom. I forgot to add that into the script, by the way. I completely forgot about quick bloom. I'll talk about that later, like improv. Fuck it. As you're probably seeing in the footage, I use Zhongli for Spread. It's a really great team and I'd recommend you to try it out. It's very strong and does a lot of damage if you use it right and if you build it right and build Alhaitham right. The only real issue with it is needing higher investment than Hyperbloom to be competitive with other teams and needing best in slot teammates like Nahida or I guess Yaimiko or Zhongli. They are really important slots to maximize the damage in my opinion. But that's really it, and it's usually not a big deal, like you'll do damage. And speaking of Hyperbloom though, this is the second and final team I will review for today. Hyperbloom is known as the funny meme team that makes any unit good. It's gotten to a point where people like genuinely hated the Hyperbloom meta for a while, where you can literally use Hyperbloom to make anyone good. This was a thing for a while now, but it got like a little less with like Shenyun and things like that. That actually compete with the funny meme team thing. I personally enjoy that team, but I don't play it much. I decided to test Alhaitham, Farina, Cookie, Nahida for this video, which is not something I used before, and it worked nice. I clearly think like fast and easy, and it did the job really well, maybe even better than spread. The only issue is that I may have, yeah, I think like using Farina in those teams without Baijo kind of sucks, I'll be honest with you. Like, I really struggled to like not die or like just not get fucked up, even on the very like weak first side of this abyss. Overall, it's a really nice team though. It's really good for single target, but slightly falls off in AoE or like more than 2 targets. So overall, I like it, and I would recommend it to use it, and it clears content really smoothly. Just be careful if you use Farina without Baiju. In conclusion, Alhaitham destroys basically all content he's used in, even to this day. He's super powerful and fairly easy to play. He only has like 2 weaknesses, one of which is the AR issues, where you either, like his high ER needs force you to either run double Dendro teams or have insane AR substats, or have a lot of Favonius teammates. And this also further cements his reliance on Nahida, like he also relies on Nahida. But if you can't account for that, if you can account for that, it's not that bad. And going for a burst every other rotation type of playstyle is usually not a big DPS loss if you're just getting started building him. His other issue is needing to understand his rotations to maximize mirrors. Like as an example, using your ultimate first and then doing a few normal attacks, like 2 follow-ups and then charge attack, 2 follow-ups and then E, right? That's the standard rotation, or sometimes doing E into Q instantly to front load damage. Oh yeah, that's also one good thing about Alhaitham, he front loads damage a lot. So yeah, he's really strong, but would I recommend him as a pull? That depends. There's a lot of better characters and like a lot of like good supports that you should 100% get before getting Alhaitham. And especially because nowadays they're just falling off the meta slightly because of the new DPS units doing the same damage, if not more, than your average Dendro team. But right now they're fairly equal, let's say. When it comes to future-proofness, he's likely to stay relevant for a while. Even with the existence of Kinech, they both run very different teams, which allows you to have both units on your account and maybe even use them in the same abyss. But outside of that, Denver is becoming less relevant in general, with only like 2 units being meta in the traditional sense, those being Nahida and Baiju. Alhaitham is closer to our luxury pull, but I still consider him to be like a top DPS, like top 3 DPS, above the likes of Navia, Cloran, Drizzly, Hutao, Linny, things like that. Because he has a high floor of damage through teams like Hyperbloom, and he still has a high skill expression, and a really high ceiling of damage if you spread, if you get his 5-star weapon, things like that. I tried Alhaitham with both 4-star and 5-star weapons, by the way, so don't worry, I'm not biased or anything. I only recently got a 5-star weapon for Alhaitham. And with that, I reviewed Alhaitham and definitively answered the question of is he still good, and in my opinion, the answer is yes, he is. However, that doesn't mean he's a must pull or anything. He's a really great DPS, and I'm still gonna be glazing him until he gets power crept. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. That would make me really grateful as a small content creator. Thank you everyone for watching, and bye!